What's up everyone, and thank you for stopping by the channel. Today's project is this Craftsman Chipper Vac, and the problem is it's been in storage for a very long time and I don't know if it works. Let's take a good look at it, find out what's wrong with it, and hopefully we can fix it. In this video, we try and repair this chipper vac. However, it may not be the exact repair you need to make to yours. We'll explore other options later in the video. So we don't have a lot of information about this piece of equipment, only that it's been in storage for a very long time. I do believe it's in working condition, but we won't know that till we start diagnosing it. On first inspection, it seems to be in great condition, that is until we get to this part of the plastic housing. As you can see, there's a rather large opening where air can escape. I'm not sure if I want to fix it or what kind of effect it'll have on its performance till we get this thing working again. Looking at the carburetor, it definitely needs a new air filter, and it looks like someone put an air nozzle on the gas tank because the plastic barb broke off the tank and is still in the fuel line. While we're at it, we might as well replace that old fuel line. If we take off the gas cap, there's no gas in the tank, which I didn't expect after all this time. If there's still gas in yours, you might have to remove it because gasoline does not have a very long shelf life. Now, when checking the oil, it's best to remove the dipstick and wipe it clean and then check its level. This oil isn't dark in color, but I'm going to change it anyway. The good news is at least it wasn't low. Before we go any further, I want to pull on the rope and make sure the engine isn't locked up and that the engine is fighting back. What I'm feeling is each compression stroke on the engine, and if the engine is worn out, the engine wouldn't fight back that much. The good news is that the engine isn't stuck, but I don't feel the engine fighting back as much as I was hoping for, but there is some compression. An easier way to test for a worn engine is a compression tester. You can find these online for less than $20, and to use it, just remove the spark plug and install it into the spark plug hole. Then pull the rope several times to get a pressure reading. I want to see a reading over 100 psi, but if it's too low, the engine might not start at all. Now, while the spark plug is out of the engine, we can check its condition as well. We just want to make sure it's not covered in oil or carbon. This one has some oil on it, but it's not that bad. So the reading is about 65 psi, which isn't very good. This engine may be a bit worn out, and I would normally say it's too low to start and run, but I have been surprised before, so we're still going to try a test start this engine. I did do the test one more time, and this time I pulled the rope more than the first time. However, I still got the same reading. Also, when I remove the tester, the portion that threads into the engine is also covered in oil, so we might have some bad piston rings. Next, I'll replace the spark plug, remove the air filter, and then put some gas in the carburetor's throat for a test run. Fortunately, the engine started and ran for a few seconds, which is great news. Next, I want to remove the bowl nut and the bowl to see how bad the carburetor is. If they're in bad shape, we might have to consider removing the carburetor for a full cleaning. So the news isn't great, but it's not serious either. The bowl has some debris in it, but it's mostly varnish, which can easily be removed. Now, the bowl nut, which is also the jet, is in the same shape, so it's definitely salvageable with some minor cleaning. I don't think we have to remove the carb for a full cleaning. I think we can get away with just cleaning these two items. Now, the first thing I want to tackle is the bowl, and as you can see, varnish isn't easily wiped away. We're going to need to use a wire brush on it. After that, I'll use some carb cleaner on it to remove anything that might be left over. Once the bowl is clean, I'll then start cleaning the jet with a wire brush and then clear all the holes with a small diameter wire. Next, I'll remove the gasket for the bolt so I don't damage it with the wire brush. After that, I'll get a small wire and clear every hole I can find on the jet and then spray it down with some carb cleaner. Also, I want to suggest wearing safety glasses when doing this part, and if you have access to some compressed air, that'll work as well. The next thing I want to do is remove the old fuel line and replace it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of room to do that. Even after removing the air filter adapter, I still can't get to it. The easiest thing to do would be to loosen the intake pipe from the engine. I don't like removing the carburetor from this throttle and choke system, as it's very easy to get it wrong and it not work like it's supposed to. Now that the old fuel line is gone, this is the new 1/4-inch fuel line I'll be using along with some different clamps since the others broke. The only thing is I won't be connecting it to the fuel tank just yet, as I can do that later on when the chipper vac is working. I'm going to leave the line long and fill up with gas for the meantime. So here's the bowl, and it looks so much better than before. Just remember to put the bowl back on the carburetor the same way it came off. If the bowl is clocked wrong, it won't allow the float to move properly and the needle won't open to allow any gas to fill the bowl. Next, I'll put some gas in the line and try a test start. So the good news is that it started without putting any gas into the carburetor's throat this time. The problem is that it was revving too high and I couldn't control the engine with the throttle lever. If I push on the governor's arm, it's not moving like it's supposed to, so either the governor is broken or the throttle plate inside the carburetor is stuck in the wide open position. If we move the throttle lever, you can see all it does is adjust the spring that attaches to the arm, so that's not the problem. The next thing I want to do is get a different view of the throttle plate lever and possibly the linkage setup. To get access to it, I'll need to remove the recoil and cover over the engine. Like I said, I don't want to remove the throttle linkage assembly over the carburetor unless I have to. If you take a look at the back here, you can see the top of the lever for the throttle plate, and if I push on it, you then realize that it's actually stuck in place in the wide open position. I think I can free it if I give it a light push. Most of the time it's just varnished gas that's keeping it stuck open, so it's not a problem if you use force to break it free. Now that the throttle plate isn't stuck anymore, you can see that the governor arm is moving like it's supposed to. Before that, it wasn't even trying to move. That should solve our over-revving problem. So next, I'll put the engine cover and recoil assembly back onto the engine and try another test start. Another reason why this engine might be over-revving is that the governor inside the engine may be stuck in a position that's keeping the throttle plate open. Unfortunately, the fix would be to open up the engine and repair the governor, which isn't a simple task. So this time it ran much better and it didn't over rev like it did before. All in all, it's actually a great running engine despite having low compression. Now, I don't know enough about Tecumseh engines to know if this particular model has a compression release, and that's why it's so low. All I know is it's not blowing any smoke out of the muffler and it runs very well. Also, the hole on the side of the housing is blowing some air out, but it's in an area of the housing where the pressure isn't anywhere as high as it is near the outlet, so I think I can live with it. Now, since the engine's warm, I'll drain the oil in preparation for some fresh oil, and while I was at it, I went ahead and changed the spark plug as well. It wasn't necessary to do, but I don't want to have to think about it in the future. I'll then cut the fuel line to length and then connect it to the gas tank. Now the last thing to do is replace that air filter adapter to the carburetor and then replace that old air filter with a brand new one. Now as far as parts, the air filter was bought as a package of 6, and for just this one it was $2.50. The spark plug was also bought in bulk, and for just this one it was only $2.50, and the fuel line was about $2. So the total repair cost was $7, and it took about 1.5 hours to do. So my question is, should I try repairing that giant hole in the side of the housing, or should I just leave it alone? Personally, I really don't want to do anything because I don't think it's losing a huge amount of air there as compared to the outlet as seen in the video. Now, if that hole was on the opposite side of the housing, I think that would be a different story. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions, and I hope to see you in the next video.